Welcome to my channel. Today I will be refurbishing this side table that I found on the side of the road in Seattle, Washington. I'm first of all using simple green because it was the thing I found in my house that wasn't used up. And as I talk about what I'm doing in the video, I will also talk to you about why I started this channel. So the first thing I want to talk about is different kinds of channels on YouTube. YouTube is where I actually watch most of my content. I love the channels like Judge Judy. I love all the furniture flipping. I love everything. And you can see in the photo here that I am cleaning out this extremely dirty drawer that was in the side table. And this side table was incredibly filthy and it was wobbly. And it was for free in Ballard area in Seattle. Anyway, my love of YouTube really started right around 2000 when COVID started. I, first of all, had become pretty ill with Crohn's disease, so I didn't have a lot of energy. I was about 50 years old and I had never had it before, so I was a little bit shocked, actually. I'm showing in the video that there were screws in, so I did take the screws out before I finished washing the drawer, and now I'm rinsing it. So after watching all the different really great shows on YouTube, I found flipping furniture. And the first person that I really liked a lot was Furniture Flipping Teacher. And the reason for that is because she was a younger woman, and I'm 53 now, and I think she's in her late 20s. She was a teacher for kindergarten, and she had her master's degree, and because of COVID, she had a lot of free time. And during her free time, she was flipping furniture for extra money to pay off her school loans. So I watched her whole show and how it evolved, and I was very impressed that she wasn't afraid to make mistakes and she learned a lot of really great skills. When I was growing up, my father also showed me a lot of really great skills. And with that knowledge, when I was younger, I refurbished my apartments. I did lots of gardening. I could fix almost anything that I cared about. And then in 2008, I think it was, I had my first apartment and I looked on YouTube to learn how to do tiling and woodwork and things like that. So when I saw Furniture Flipping Teacher, I was like, hey, I could do that. I have all the tools at my house and this is great. The only problem was, well, twofold. Number one, I wasn't living in America at the time. And number two, I had a pretty good job. So my husband and I are teachers, and he currently is in the United Arab Emirates. I left my job with help from my company back in March of 2022. So when I came back, I thought to myself, yeah, I think I want to be on YouTube and entertain people and have a really great community like the people I had seen. So not only Furniture Flipping Teacher really intrigued me, I then saw a woman named Salvaged by Kay Scott. And she had a family and she had been flipping furniture for years. And I really liked the quality of the furniture she made. And I gather from watching her videos that she was doing so well with the YouTube channel that she now flips furniture to donate for causes, which I think is really impressive. And then I came across Transcend Furniture, and this is a woman also in Canada. I'm in the USA, and she is a tattoo artist and she also flips furniture and she helps save bunnies and she seems very sweet. I don't know any of these people myself. So while I was home during COVID and sick with Crohn's disease and getting over a surgery, all of these people became my friends, which is a really strange thing. But when you watch somebody every week and you see what they do and you really admire them, it's really touching. And then I came across a guy who did modern makeovers. And he, I believe, is in Toronto, and his videos are the aesthetic that I like. He just impresses me so much. However, after making this first video, I can understand how long they take. So, anyway, so this is my first video, and you can see I'm using the clamping tool because the drawer was a little bit loose with the dovetailing, so I put some glue on, and I'm having a little bit of a struggle to put that together. My father, these are mostly his tools, has some really nice, easy clamps, but I couldn't find them at the time. They were down in the basement, so I'm using the older style. And so now you might be saying to yourself, why are you talking through this whole video? Well, the reason why is because of watching the people who I watch. I really love how modern makeovers, he doesn't say anything. He just videotapes himself doing it very cleverly, and then he has a masterpiece afterwards. I also like the other ladies who I mentioned because they too explain what they're doing. And so I haven't done any kind of work like this for at least 20 years. So I used to do this kind of stuff a lot, and then I became a teacher for teaching English as a second language. And I taught in Korea for 2 years, and then I got my master's degree. I then got a really great job in the United Arab Emirates, where I taught in Fujairah, and then Abu Dhabi, and then Ruwais. I then found my lovely husband, and we got married, and then we went to China for 4 years together. And then we got a job back in the UAE, and I was there for 4 years, and my husband will be leaving there this December, which will be 4.5 years. So I told him that if I could leave early, I would be a very diligent person and start making videos. So that way, when he comes back in December, I'll have hopefully a whole bunch of videos all lined up in YouTube. That way, it won't be so much pressure to work so hard to get the videos out. Then as I watched YouTube more, I found other people like Glenda Chavez, and I thought she was very charming because she has a little baby girl and she's got nice little puppies on her video, and she's now redoing her house. And then there's Sri Gun Restoration, and he is in Europe someplace, and I just find him so amazing. So I love watching people when they're doing a craft that they really love. And I used to love teaching English. I really loved the students, and I still do. It was just, I think, a policy change or a management change, which made teaching not so enjoyable anymore. So when I left in March, I was a little bit happy. Anyway, so you can see here that I'm using stripper on the furniture, and I must tell you that I have forgotten. Of course, you're supposed to wait for about 15 minutes to strip the furniture after you put it on, and I was not being as patient as I should. However, back in the day when I used to strip things, like for example, my upstairs bathroom in my family's house. My family's house is about a 1909 home, and it has beautiful woodwork. And one day I'll give you a little tour. Well, upstairs it had, I think it was pink paint on the wood molding. So I asked my dad when I was in high school, "Hey Dad, do you want me to take the paint off?" And he's like, "Sure." So he showed me how to use stripper, and also he used me how to use a heat gun. So I took 5 layers of paint off of all of the wood. And if you were to see it now, you would be very impressed. It's just beautiful. Also in my family's home, I took off layers of wallpaper also when I was in high school, or maybe actually a little bit younger. So we moved into the house in 1976, and I was, I think, around 4th grade. And when you walked down the staircase, there were little kids snow sledding on the wallpaper. So that was the first thing I removed, and my father once again showed me how to do that. Now here you can see in the video I'm using a sander, And as I was using it, of course, these are all my father's tools. And so he is going to be 90 years old in March of 2023. And so he doesn't use the tools as much as he used to be. Well, there's a pad between the sandpaper and the metal, and I didn't check it. And as I started sanding the piece, I saw little marks all over. I'm like, what is this from? And it was because the padding had disintegrated and the screws were coming through. Anyway, so there are much easier sanders to use than this one, but this is my father's old fashioned one, and you have to be pretty patient because you have to hold the lever back and then you have to put the paper in. And I know nowadays a lot of the sanders, you just use the glue, like the one I'm using now. So here is another one of my dad's sanders, and so I used that for a little bit. And you'll see later on in the video, I had to use I think it's called the bandsaw, the planer, because this stuff was so deep. It was just amazing. Anyway, so what I was saying before is that I'm hoping to do 2 videos of the same project per week. And the reason for that is because I really enjoy 2 different YouTube channels. I like Modern Makeover, when he doesn't talk at all, and his work is fantastic. But I also love it when Salvage by Kay Scott and Furniture Flipping Teacher and Transcend Furniture, and now a new person on the scene who I hadn't seen before, like Furniture Flipping for Profit, when they explain what they're doing. Now, if you see the video right here, you can see a little block of wood. What my dad did, instead of drawing a line for the guide of the saw blade, he actually made a little block that you can then position the little aluminum thing, the guide, so that way that keeps in your knowledge of how far the actual machine cuts from the guide. So you can see in this one, it turned out really well. The next one, I forget to use that little block, and it's too far over, so I have to do it again. I was just showing you there that this is solid oak, and that's why it's so heavy and easy to work with. I love wood, and wood is so easy to fix if you make a mistake. Other products, once you get them wet, sometimes it's a lot harder to deal with. So once again, this side table was out in the rain in Seattle, covered with schmuck all over it, and you'll see at the very ending, it's lovely. So here you can see I'm not using the little guide properly. I don't use the block. Yeah, I learned my lesson. So because I like the different YouTubers, I want to be like them, basically. So I want to have one video with just like ASMR, you just hear it, you just experience it. And then the other one, I want to talk to you about things. So for example, all of my travels in the world, I always come back to people are really good. And I've traveled to numerous countries. I've lived in numerous countries. I'm a pretty friendly person. I'll talk to any kind of person. I like people. And it's just too bad that the news media focuses on the negative stuff, because I really think people are wonderful. And I think YouTube is a really good example of how people spend their hours and hours making YouTube videos to entertain us and also to make money, but also, because they love it. So if I talk too much about that, I will cry. So Anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm using my fingers to feel the distance between the support of the side table and the wood, how much is left. It's really weird in my life. I rarely measure anything. I can usually eyeball anything. So when my husband and I first got married, my mother asked if we could put a handrail on the front of the house. And the reason for that is because she is a person who has people over for like Bible study or things like that. So we went out and we did measure it, how big it was. And I said, okay, great. So my husband and I were making the rail and he said, you're not measuring this enough times. It's going to be wrong. And I said, oh, no, it's going to be fine. I eyeballed it. We can make anything work. And so we went out and put it up and it worked. And he said, oh my goodness, I can't believe you always can do this. So there are certain people who can spell well, and that's not me. There are certain people who are pretty good with directions and can just see things, and that would be me. So like, for example, in my apartment, I had a bunch of artwork, and I just kind of looked at the wall. I put the little tacks up or the nails or whatever I was using, and everything was very symmetrical, and it looked great. Not to toot my own horn, because I'll tell you the bad part too. When I was in high school, we had these tests called like the pre-college exams. So for spatial ability, I got 99%, and for mechanics, I got 98%. Why I wasn't a math teacher or why I didn't do any kind of spatial things, it's mostly because I didn't know what kind of jobs one could have if one didn't want to teach English. I don't know what kind of jobs there are. And being my age, a lot of women didn't do things like this. So I didn't really think about being a woodworker when I was a kid. You'll see in this picture, the glide for the drawer is loose, so I do fix that. Anyway, so I probably shouldn't go back and forth on tangents because I'll probably forget. Anyway, so the pre-college test for my spelling, I believe I got 38%. And for my reading comprehension, I got 58%. Yes, I was not an avid reader. I like stories. Like I read Miss Frisbee and the Rats of Nim and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all those really fun stuff. But I'd rather do stuff than read stuff. So because of my horrible scores, I thought to myself, I went to community college first to prove that I could get passing grades, and I finished. That was great. And then I went to the local university here in town, and I thought to myself, I really want to be a teacher. And at that time, the only thing I thought I could teach was maybe English literature or something. So I took English lit classes, and I read about 5 books a week. So anytime you saw me, I was reading. And then the last semester, now here's a cool part. I'm routering, I think it's called routering, the sides of the side table to make them oval kind of, like smooth. And oh my goodness, I could do this forever. I tell you, this is the kind of job I love. I love doing things with my hands. I love something that's finished when I'm done with it. And although teaching was really rewarding, it was really up to the student to succeed. I could be fun and helpful and positive, but if the student didn't do their homework, there was not a lot that I could do. Anyway, so my very last semester at university, I took a teaching English as a second language course. And this is the true thing that I thought, wow, no matter what class I'm in, I'll probably speak English better than the students. Yes. It's true. That's what I thought. Well, another thing is, when I was at community college, I had a really bad experience with one of the teachers there. And no matter what I did, this teacher would put me down in class So much so that I had other students in the class come talk to me about they were so sorry that the teacher was mean to me. And so after having that teacher as a teacher at community college, I said to myself, you know what, self, I would be nicer than her, so I'm going to be a teacher and I'll only be a nice teacher, which I think 99% of the time I've been very nice and understanding and really try to help students. And because I was a horrible speller and I didn't like to read, when I had students who were horrible spellers and didn't like to read, I was very, very supportive about it. You know, it's like sometimes you just don't get it. So, because of spell check, my spelling became pretty perfect, and teaching over and over again the difference between there, and there, two, and two, loose and lose. I don't make the dumb little mistakes that people often make when they're not thinking about it. Anyway, so now you can see in the video, I'm using a belt sander, and oh my goodness, this what makes the difference. It helps really get all of the old stuff off. Now, of course, if I were to do this whole thing again, I would have done it totally different. I would have cut the table down first, and then I would have gone from there. There's no reason to clean and do all the stuff for a fourth of the table that I'm not going to be using. Anyway, so I think it's really fun to watch these things on fast speed, and I tried to make the video a little bit closer so you'd see less of me and more of what I'm doing. And I do think it's fun to watch the people, but yeah, 50-50. If I can just see people's hands like in Modern Makeovers, I just think it's so entertaining. So anyway, this video is being made in August of 2022, and my plan is to have about 6 months of videos all ready to be released. So that way, when my husband gets back in December, I won't be just doing this 24/7. So this little table, you can see the bad wood, how it used to look. It took me on and off about 3 days to complete it. And of course, if I were just doing furniture flipping for profit and not hoping to make money off of YouTube, there's no way a person could survive, I don't think. However, because I want to be a YouTuber, then I hope it works. Anyway, this paint that I used, I was at Lowe's and I was looking around for stuff like wood filler and things like that. This was on the bargain basement already used paint, and it said thin paint, black. So there's another furniture flipper that I use. I think it's Cowboy, but I can't remember his name right now. And he loves using a black color with all of his furniture. And I said to myself, his always looks good. Now, if you look at the drawer, I do replace or I cover it up with contact paper because it was so messy and I couldn't make it straight. Anyway, so the cowboy guy always uses black. So I thought if this was a light paint, you could still see the texture of the wood. I thought, hey, that looks like a great deal. And so I bought it for $2 and I think it's fantastic. Now, this little guy doesn't want to go in because there's a knot right where I'm trying to put the little caster coaster, whatever it's called, the slider. And so I put it back in the original hole that was there. The other ones I tried to place more in the center. So this Broyhill old side table was put on like this with screws. I thought that was really interesting. And so I wanted to make sure they were all tight and ready to go. Also on this, I don't know why, but I didn't videotape putting the handle on the drawer, which I did do. That was about $5 at Lowe's, and I just think it's quite charming. And so the paint was $2. The pull was about $4. The stripper, which was that whole container, was $55. Here it is all finished. You can see that the bottom of the drawer looks nice now. The paintbrushes I got for sale at a garage sale. And this is my garage, so it looks not as pretty as if it was inside. And then the next little part, Paulo with Projects. My sister, if you watch the video, she sang it for me. And my girlfriend from Korea, who's American, she made the little logo. So, that's it, I think. Oh, still going. Anyway, all right. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy. Be sure to subscribe. Bye-bye.